The narrative begins with Yun Seo, a diligent woman who only has a temporary contract at her job and has not been paid her salary for the month. When she approaches a colleague to inquire about her late salary, she is informed that the approval for her payment has not been sent to the financial department and advises her to speak with Nam. Upon speaking with Nam, she learns that it is the day for the company's contract renewal, and if she can persuade the well-known actor Junhyuk to renew his contract, she will be offered a permanent position at the company. He instructs her to fetch a cup of coffee for him, and she agrees. Yun Seo leaves to get the coffee and pancakes for the manager. When she hands it to him, she inquires about the price, but Nam tells her not to worry about such trivial matters until the contract with Junhyuk is finalized. Just then, Junhyuk arrives at the company to discuss renewing his contract for marketing the company's coffee. However, upon reviewing the contract, he feels uneasy and chooses not to sign. However, when he encountered Yun Seo at the door, he requested to leave, but she realized he hadn't renewed his contract, so she attempted to prevent his departure. Despite her efforts to stop him, he pushed her aside and exited the company. Upon seeing the manager in the meeting room, he inquired about why she didn't intervene to halt Junhyuk's departure. Despite this, CEO of the company ultimately fires Yun Seo for her role in the incident. That night, she is seen drinking with her manager and co-workers as they brainstorm solutions. While her manager briefly leaves to use the restroom, she seizes the opportunity for revenge. Following him outside, she strikes him on the head with her shoe, only to realize it is not her manager but someone else. She approaches the man lying on the ground and realizes that he is Junhyuk. This discovery shocks her, leading her to believe that he is already deceased. A passerby inquires about her boyfriend's condition, prompting her to carry his body back to her house. Unexpectedly, she runs into her neighbor Nate-gu and is forced to fib by claiming that Junhyuk is a drunk relative. After Nate-gu leaves, she brings Junhyuk inside her apartment. Exhausted, she falls asleep next to him and awakens convinced that he has passed away. She chooses to conceal his body on a nearby shore before facing arrest. Lighting candles, she sits next to him and expresses regret for her actions, believing they were unintentional, but still wishes him peace. Opting to use chemicals to hide the body, she begins working on it immediately. Upon entering his room, she is shocked to find him awake, resulting in both of them screaming in confusion. In a panicked state, he attempts to escape the apartment, but is struck on the head by a naked goo substance and loses consciousness once more. Nate-gu becomes anxious when he mistakenly believes Yun Seo is a thief. He urges her to call an ambulance, but she reassures him that everything is fine and leads him back into her apartment. Yun Seo is overjoyed to see that Junhyuk is alive, but he wakes up the next day to find himself bound. Upon recognizing Yun Seo, he pleads with her to set him free. In desperation, he cries out for help, prompting her to gag him with his sock. CEO Kim from Junhyuk's company was wondering about his whereabouts when suddenly Junhyuk's rival, Mir, entered the room. Mir informed CEO Kim that Junhyuk's girlfriend, Sira, was holding a press conference to announce that Junhyuk had been kidnapped. This news made CEO Kim panic as he believed such an announcement would have detrimental effects on the company's reputation as well as Sira's career. CEO Kim reminded Sira that she was considered a failure as an actress and only worked because she was Junhyuk's girlfriend. He instructed Sira and Mir to keep the situation a secret and to announce that Junhyuk was actually sick and in the hospital. Junhyuk assures Yun Seo that he will not make any noise at her place, which prompts her to remove his sock. He inquires about the reason for her kidnapping him, to which he explains the entire story. Yun Seo reveals that she was too frightened to take him to the hospital due to his celebrity status. She apologizes and seeks forgiveness, with Junhyuk eventually forgiving her and asking to be set free. As Yun Seo gets up to fetch a pair of scissors, she inadvertently reveals a box containing chemicals that were intended to conceal his body's odor. He is taken aback, and just as he is about to scream, she stuffs a sock in his mouth once again. She informs him that she had no idea he was alive and swears that she never intended to be a part of his life. This revelation leaves her feeling extremely nervous and unsure of what to do next. Meanwhile, Nate-gu reads in the newspaper about the famous actor Junhyuk being hospitalized. Realizing that he is the same person staying in Yun Seo's apartment, Simultaneously, a police officer proceeds to the location where Junhyuk was last spotted, and after checking the surveillance footage, he observes a girl carrying Junhyuk on her back, but her face is not visible. Yunseo receives a call from her company instructing her to collect her final paycheck. While leaving, she encounters Nate-gu, who questions why Junhyuk is present, prompting her to fabricate a story. She then departs to receive her salary. Meanwhile, Nate-gu enters the apartment, and upon seeing him, Junhyuk discloses his identity as the renowned actor Junhyuk, requesting assistance in leaving the premises. Nate-gu feels sorry for him and frees his legs as he exits the room, shouting with joy that he is finally free. However, when Yunseo arrives, he informs Nate-gu that she had abducted him. Nate-gu chuckles, admitting that she was correct. In a flashback, we witness her telling Nate-gu that her relative is an obsessed fan of Junhyuk, having undergone surgery to resemble him and mimicking his behavior. This is why she restrained him, to prevent any issues. Upon realizing that Junhyuk believed her story, he realizes that Nate-gu is quite gullible. Nate-gu escorts him back inside, adjusting his tie even more tightly, advising her to keep a close eye on him. Upon his departure, she silences him with another sock in his mouth. Later that night, she attempts to persuade him to eat, but he declines, accusing her of attempting to take his life and vowing not to forgive her. In the middle of the night, he tries to escape, but Yunseo awakens and stops him. She effortlessly carries him and throws him back, revealing herself to be a wrestling champion. Junhyuk loses consciousness, causing Yunseo to once again think that he has died. She carries him to bury him in the mountains, but he unexpectedly regains consciousness. He yells at her and escapes, but ends up crashing into a tree and fainting once more. Upon waking up, he finds himself tied up in her house once more. He angrily informs her that he is a famous actor, and the whole of Korea must be looking for him. However, they both watch a news report on TV about him being at the hospital, which reassures Yunseo. The scene then shifts to the police officer with Mir, showing him a picture of Yunseo and asking if he knows her, to which Mir denies having any knowledge of her. During the night, Junhyuk attempts to flee but is restrained by Nate-gu, who secures him with chains. Yunseo then looks up ways to make amends and decides to entice Junhyuk into forgiving her. She purchases a revealing dress, enters the room, and playfully tries to kiss him but hesitates at the final moment. Feeling overheated, she tries to open the window, which is broken, causing her to almost fall. Yunseo requests assistance from Junhyuk, who ultimately saves her. He informs her that she deserves it, as no matter what she does, she can't make him fall in love with her or even forgive her. Upon realizing this, Yunseo makes the decision to travel outside of Korea. Yunseo inquires Junhyuk about living in Vietnam, and he responds that with 5 million she can sustain herself there for 3 months. Yunseo resolves to work tirelessly for 6 months to earn the money, then set Junhyuk free and embark on her journey. She instructs Junhyuk to reside with her for 6 months until he uncovers her true identity, at which point she will release him. Junhyuk and Yunseo reach an agreement for a 3-month contract and sign it together. He specifies that she must provide him with the desired food and clothes, to which she complies. Post-signing the contract, Yunseo contemplates on how to gather the necessary funds, while Junhyuk strategizes on finding an opportunity to escape. She starts taking up odd jobs and pays Nate-gu to keep an eye on Junhyuk for a fee of $7 per month. Later on, Junhyuk requests for new clothes, prompting Yunseo to obtain some from clothing donation boxes. However, upon seeing the clothes, Junhyuk expresses dissatisfaction, labeling them as old and torn, and provides her with a store name to purchase from. As she leaves, she encounters 2 police officers who mistake Junhyuk for her intoxicated partner. Soon after, a detective shows them a photo of Yunseo, and they confirm knowing her. He attempts to trail her but loses sight of her. Meanwhile, at home, Junhyuk admires his new attire but declines the meal she prepares, instead providing his preferred recipes. Yunseo puts in a lot of effort cleaning cars and bathrooms. She comes back home exhausted at night and pays Nate-gu for looking after Junhyuk. She then purchases food for Junhyuk and prepares it, only for him to criticize it and throw it away. Upset, Yunseo reprimands him and later finds a piece of the food while cleaning the dishes eating it while crying. The next morning, she buys Junhyuk the coffee he requested, but he claims he does not like it. After a few minutes, she received a phone call from a colleague at her previous workplace, urging her to return to the company urgently. Yunseo informed the caller that she no longer worked there, but was told that she needed to come if she wanted to receive her end-of-service benefit. Hastily, Yunseo made her way to the company, where she apologized to the woman and requested her payment. The woman informed her that her money was with someone named Nam. Upon meeting Nam, Yunseo reprimanded him for his actions and demanded her money. When she takes her money, she sits on the stairs crying until another girl comes to sit beside her. The girl, a fan of Junhyuk, suggests that she seems to need money and offers her a job as a mobile employee in the company. However, she informs her that she must first apologize to Nam, who is the head of the mobile employees department. Yunseo reluctantly buys a gift for Nam, apologizes, and leaves. Upon returning home, Gu informs her that Junhyuk tried to convince him once again that he is the famous actor Junhyuk, leading Yunseo to lose her temper and confront him for trying to deceive her. Gu then goes to the supermarket with his money, where he spots a police officer showing him a picture of Yunseo and asking if he knows her. Gu confirms that she is his neighbor and leads the police officer to her house. While inside the house, Junhyuk overhears the officer's voice. He hurriedly attempts to put on his pants, but ends up falling to the floor and hitting his head on the wall, causing him to lose consciousness as usual. When the police officer hears the voice, he rushes into the house to find a man lying on the floor. Unable to see his face, Yunseo informs the officer that he is her intoxicated boyfriend who has lost consciousness. The officer receives a phone call and departs swiftly. Yunseo then warns Gu not to disclose anything about Junhyuk, as he has been involved in many issues in the past and could be arrested for impersonating Junhyuk. Gu naively believes her once again. Upon returning to the police station, the officer encounters CEO Kim with Seira and Mir, who finally disclose that Junhyuk has been kidnapped. Yunseo's Junhyuk is told that they should leave the house due to safety concerns, especially since the police had visited once and were aware of his kidnapping. However, Junhyuk expresses his reluctance to move. In response, Yunseo proposes that he write a letter in his own hand to declare that he is not kidnapped and can return whenever he chooses. Junhyuk agrees and composes the letter, but includes a covert message hinting at his kidnapping and mentioning Yunseo's name. Yunseo is fortunate to come across the message he left for her. She insists that he write another message. While trying to sneakily place the message on Junhyuk's car in the company's garage, she is spotted by Mir, who questions her identity. Yunseo quickly runs away, and Mir reads the message. Later that night, while watching the news, they learn that the entire country now believes Junhyuk disappeared voluntarily and will return at his own will. Junhyuk is upset when he sees the news. While working at the company, she starts facing hate from Nam and other employees. It becomes evident that mobile employees have very limited rights in the company, to the extent that even drinking coffee from the machine is prohibited. Meanwhile, Gu and Junhyuk engage in a conversation about Yunseo, during which Gu compliments her as being cute, strong, and independent. Junhyuk realizes from Gu's words that he might be in love with Yunseo, but Gu claims that she was the one who developed feelings for him first. Yunseo arrived home exhausted, and during dinner with Junhyuk, he mentioned that Gu had informed him that she had a crush on him in the past. Yunseo revealed that some neighbors had spread rumors about Gu being the wealthy son of a well-off family when he first moved into the building. Believing the rumors, Yunseo tried to win his affection in hopes of improving her financial situation, only to later realize that he was not actually rich. Junhyuk taunted her for being only interested in money, but Yunseo defended herself by pointing out that even a famous millionaire actor would not truly understand her struggles with poverty. Junhyuk stated that he put in a lot of effort to reach where he is, and if she did the same, she would also become wealthy. Yunseo angrily retorted that life doesn't work that way, as she works tirelessly and uses all her power but receives nothing in return. Junhyuk felt remorseful for his words, apologized, but she didn't forgive him. He spent the whole night pondering over what she had said, only to hear her coughing in the middle of the night. The next morning, he advised her to take some medicine, but she insisted that he shouldn't worry about her as she would be fine. When she goes to work, He repeatedly asks Nate-gu for information about her, such as her date of birth, in an attempt to discover the password for his chains. Upon noticing Yun-seo's isolation at the company, her colleague invites her to join Jun-hyuk's fan club with her friends. Initially, she was not accepted, but after sharing a significant amount of information about Jun-hyuk, the other girls were surprised and welcomed her warmly. Upon returning home, Jun-hyuk observes that she is not feeling well, leading him to offer her his food, causing her to question his motives. Before going to bed, they engage in conversation about various topics until Yun-seo falls asleep. Jun-hyuk rises and attempts to guess the password, successfully unlocking the chains. As he prepares to escape, Yun-seo grasps onto his leg, revealing she has a high temperature when he moves her hand. Jun-hyuk decides to stay by her side and cares for her throughout the night. Upon waking up, Yun-seo discovers him asleep beside her and questions why he didn't leave earlier when he had the chance, to which he humbly admits his foolishness. Yun-seo then restrains him again while expressing gratitude. Later on, Yun-seo receives a call from a friend informing her that Jun-hyuk's fan club is organizing an event, with each member required to pay 3,000. Yun-seo makes the decision to sell Jun-hyuk's clothing by posting them online. Unfortunately, Sira comes across the post. A potential buyer expresses interest in purchasing the clothes, and Yun-seo arranges to meet the buyer, only to realize it is Nate-gu. Nate-gu threatens to reveal to Yun-seo's relative that she is selling his clothes unless she agrees to sell them at half the price. Meanwhile, Sira informs Mir that she personally bought the clothes for Jun-hyuk, raising concerns for his safety. Mir responded by saying that he was not concerned, but deep down he hoped that the other person would not come back. Jun-hyuk managed to escape from Yun-seo's house. When Yun-seo realized he was gone, she quickly ran to try to catch up to him. Jun-hyuk reached near the police station, however Yun-seo arrived just in time. They argued and then saw a police car. In order to stop Jun-hyuk from making noise, Yun-seo kissed him, causing his heart to race. She then carried him back home. Despite enjoying the moment, they both started to feel anxious. Early in the day, Jun-hyuk notices Nate-gu wearing his pants. When questioned, Nate-gu responds that he had already purchased them. Jun-hyuk reprimands Yun-seo for breaking the contract rules and informs her that there will be consequences, including having to turn on the TV for him. As Yun-seo heads to work, her co-worker informs her that actor Mir will be signing a marketing contract instead of Jun-hyuk. Yun-seo is alarmed, knowing that actor Mir had seen her leave a message on Jun-hyuk's car. Upon actor Mir's arrival at the company, Yun-seo quickly attempts to conceal her face. Mir recognizes her and recalls who she is. Meanwhile, Jun-hyuk struggles to recollect the reason for going to the Mallet Club on the day Yun-seo accidentally hit his head. After much contemplation, he remembers that he has a scheduled meeting with Mir. Yun-seo attempts to evade Mir at the company, but her clumsy actions only draw more attention to her. When Mir speaks to her, he mistakenly assumes she is a fanatical admirer of Jun-hyuk, which is why she was peeking into his car. He politely asks her to refrain from doing it again. However, upon viewing the photos provided by the police officer earlier, he begins to question if she is truly the same girl. On her journey back home, she attempts to withdraw money from her bank account only to realize that she has no funds remaining. Disheartened, she returns home while Jun-hyuk mentions that he recalled almost meeting Mir before she assaulted him but couldn't remember the reason. Yun-seo remains quiet, prompting him to notice that something is amiss. Shortly after, she receives a call from her landlord instructing her to pay her rent or face eviction. Jun-hyuk feels sorry for her and offers to give her $1 million, but she insists she only needs $600 to pay her rent and promises to return it later. He hands her his credit card, but Yun-seo discovers that his account is empty. She returns to him, informing him that he has no money, but Jun-hyuk believes she did not use the ATM. Following this, Nate-gu informs her that he will be moving to a different apartment due to the rent being too high. Yun-seo sadly inquires about who will look after Jun-hyuk when she is not around, pleading with him to stay, but he declines. Upon her arrival, Jun-hyuk immediately senses that she is distressed. Upon confiding in him about the situation, Jun-hyuk suggests that she could manipulate Nate-gu's feelings for her advantage. He then proceeds to apply makeup on her, admiring her appearance and conveying that she has an influence over him. Despite her best efforts to win over Nate-gu, he remains resistant to staying. Upon arriving home, she is furious and yells at Junhyuk for deceiving her and claiming she is not attractive enough to persuade Nate-gu to stay. However, at work, she is taken aback when Mir selects her as his assistant, assuming it is because of her newfound beauty. When she gets home, Nate-gu informs her that he will not be moving, bringing her joy. She expresses gratitude towards Junhyuk for his actions, crediting her transformation for making things easier. Yunseo receives a phone call from her mother while spending time with Junhyuk at night, informing her that she will be staying with her for a few days. Junhyuk jokingly predicts that Yunseo will get caught and end up in jail. Despite this, Yunseo persuades Nate-gu to let Junhyuk stay at his house for a while. Junhyuk tries to stay at home when he finds out, but she forcibly drags him outside. When her mother falls asleep, Yunseo sneaks over to Nate-gu's apartment to check on Junhyuk's well-being. However, her mother wakes up and catches her with Nate-gu, assuming they are in a relationship, but Yunseo denies it. As her mother prepares to leave, she gives Yunseo some money, acknowledging that she knows about the unpaid study debt. Yunseo returns home feeling sad, and Junhyuk notices her mood. He inquires about the problem, so Yunseo bursts into tears and explains that he is the reason she couldn't repay her debt. He argues that he is the one being wronged, but she blames him. Junhyuk embraces her in an attempt to comfort her, but at that moment her mother walks into the apartment. Yunseo is shocked and ushers her mother out while her mother questions why the famous actor Junhyuk is at her home. Yunseo claims that he is her boyfriend and they are keeping their relationship a secret. The mother enters further, disbelief evident, and asks Junhyuk his purpose for being there. Yunseo responds with tears that Junhyuk is her boyfriend, causing Junhyuk to confess upon seeing her tears. When Yunseo's mother asks why he is tied up, he explains that it is his choice. Yunseo takes her mother aside, who now believes her, unaware that Nate-gu has overheard everything. She attempts to explain everything to Nate-gu, but he refuses to listen and she ends up hitting his head in frustration. Nate-gu wakes up to find himself tied up next to Junhyuk, who tells him that he deserves it. Yunseo recounts the entire story to Gu from the beginning, emphasizing her inability to let him go for fear of him reporting her. She mentions her need to go to work and instructs them to remain silent. When she is at work, her colleague hands her the contract to deliver to Mir's company. There, Mir offers to drive her home and drops her off near her house, exhibiting suspicion towards her. Meanwhile, Junhyuk watches the news where Sera declares that he will marry her, causing him to become enraged due to the potential impact on his career. He pleads to release him and assists in freeing his hands. However, Nate-gu did not set him free. Instead, he informed Yunseo that he is on her side because he trusts her. Yunseo is pleased with this revelation, while Junhyuk vows to seek revenge once he is released. Later that night, Yunseo questions why Nate-gu did not reveal her true identity to her mother. In response, he explains that he would have supported her regardless. Yunseo expresses her gratitude, thanking Nate-gu for his assistance and mentioning her desire to travel if she had the means. In turn, Nate-gu promises to provide her with the necessary funds. The following day, Naked-gu changes the password for the restraints as Junhyuk notices a tool he could use to strike him, though he decides against it, leading Naked-gu to release him. When Yunseo arrived home, she discovered that Junhyuk was not there. Nate-gu informed her of the situation, revealing that Junhyuk had promised not to report her. However, upon returning to his place, Junhyuk was on the verge of contacting the police when he noticed her socks on his feet. The sight triggered memories of a cold night when Yunseo had given him her socks to keep warm. This recollection led Junhyuk to ultimately decide against reporting her.